may be a fan of superheroes, anti-heroes, and even supervillains, but if there's one thing I can't stand, it's nasty bullies. The satisfaction you get when a bully gets humbled is probably one of the best feelings in the world, which is why today, the TV Regent presents the top 25 times when bullies got owned across films and TV.
You don't want to play, huh? You're just a stupid rubber doll with fake hair.
You know what happens to bad boys that don't mind their manners? They grow up to be bad men.
I know she's supposed to be the AI female version of Chucky, but that doesn't mean that Megan is all bad. Just look at how she teaches Brandon a lesson for not having good manners. Okay, I know it's not the right way to deal with what he did, but come on, it's still a pretty terrifying scene, isn't it? The look on Brandon's face when Megan was ripping off his ear was priceless, because it highlighted how much of a threat the robot doll really is. In a way, you could even say that she was protecting Katie here. After all, Brandon did mess around with her, and the sequence that led to his brutal lesson was pretty much a planned affair. She totally turned the tables here, and while I do feel a bit sorry for Brandon, he still needed to be dealt with. I also loved how Megan just got up from the ground because it felt like some demonic entity had just come to life. She even adds a badass touch when she tells the bully this is the part where he should run. Bro must have been like, I'm out of here. Get it? Because he lost an ear? Alright, forget it.
This is the part where you run.
Before I begin this entry, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. You were a massive influence on the childhoods of tens of millions of kids all over the world.
So listen, why don't you turn around, walk away, no one will even know you were here. I'm not doing that. Missed again.
Having said that, it's a bit odd that the Dragon Ball media piece I'm covering is from the universally hated live-action version. Either way, it's a sequence where a bunch of bullies are getting violated, so it does qualify to be on this list. This is the scene where Goku wins against his opponents without even fighting them. Seriously, bro just kept avoiding the punches being thrown at him and ended up making the bullies fight against each other. It's a decent showcase of the Ultra Instinct skill, and we got a pretty funny session out of it, especially when that dude ended up wrecking his own car while trying to attack Goku.
Nobody stop!
It isn't exactly a case of non-violence, but you should also keep in mind that this is the same dude who's supposed to use spirit bombs and his trademark Kamehameha. Bro even managed to impress Chi-Chi in the process. She was definitely giving him the eyes after seeing what he was capable of. I also want to shout out Justin Chatwin for apologizing for this movie in his tribute post to Akira Toriyama. Good on you, bro.
I'll curb stomp that little face!
Hey, Flash. Hey, come on, man. I just want to talk.
So this one's a bit of a curveball because, yeah, Peter Parker does get back at his bully Flash Thompson, but in this case, his opponent is showing him empathy. This is right after the death of Uncle Ben, so our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man isn't exactly feeling very friendly. Despite that, Flash still decides to talk to him about it, although he should have known that Peter was going to attack him. Sure, the bully becomes the bullied in this case, but I also want to talk about how nicely written this sequence is. It's actually a powerful scene, because when Flash tells Peter, it feels better, right? He gave us context on his own personality and character. We realize that even he's gone through some stuff, which is why he likes to pick on other people to feel better about himself. Remember, he was the first one out of everyone else in school to approach Spider-Man, so it shows that he's a lot deeper than the cliche bullies we've seen in the OG trilogy and MCU. He even says sorry for everything, and it somewhat humbles Peter, which is quite surprising. Imagine if he'd apologized to Bully Maguire instead of Andrew Garfield. Bro would have probably told him to get religion if he wanted forgiveness.
You want forgiveness? Get religion.
Come on, Winchester. See what you got.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different, man? You must be kidding.
Supernatural has always been one of my guilty pleasures while growing up. If it weren't for all the monsters and demons in the story, it would have been very different from a soap opera, especially if you consider that it ran for over 15 years. Now, when it comes to the Winchester brothers, it goes without saying that Dean is the more aggressive of the two, but Sam did learn a thing or two from his bro, especially when he faced off against the bully Dirk when he was a kid. Honestly, that kid had it coming because Sam was only minding his own business and came to his buddy who was also getting bullied by Dirk. He clearly didn't see all those punches coming his way, and I've got to admit, I was quite impressed with Sam's fighting skills here. It wasn't like he was blindly throwing punches at his opponent. Bro was tactfully taking him down and made sure to do so in front of a live audience. Yes, it's embarrassing to be humiliated in front of so many people, but then again, Dirk was kind of doing the same thing just a couple of minutes earlier, so he just got a taste of his own medicine.
Take that. Oh, will you fucking fight back?
Yeah. All right. Who's going down next?
He's mine.
Flip yours in.
Finish it!
Yeah, expect to see a few more entries from this series because Cobra Kai is the perfect show for teenagers in school. That means you're going to find a lot of bullies in this franchise, and for this entry, we're looking at Hawk getting back at his bully from school. He's clearly a different man now that he's been trained in the ancient art of kicking ass, and he makes sure to let it be known to Brooks. It's a pretty short fight because Hawk takes down Brooks with ease, but the main part is that he's completely unrelentless in his assault. You can see that his opponent is down and out for the count, but he doesn't stop and keeps going at it till he lets out all that repressed rage he had to keep in when he got picked on as a kid. The spitting in the face was just a straight up violation, and I don't think Brooks is ever going to come back from this one. Just look at the dude's face. Bro could have a serial killer documentary based on him. What's interesting to note is that his sensei doesn't stop him and looks amused when Hawk's done with the thrashing. It's almost as if he wants Hawk to become the very thing he hated all his life. Oh yeah, there's also the other bully who pissed his pants after seeing what Hawk was capable of. Bro gave one bully physical trauma and the other mental distress.
Finish it!
Oops. Sorry, nothing.
Nothing. What did you just call me? I called you
Now, this is a movie that holds a special place in my heart as a millennial. The Perks of Being a Wallflower was extremely relatable to a lot of people in their mid to late teens, and Charlie's outburst against Patrick got a lot of cheers in the cinema halls when I saw this film. Sure, the main victim here is Patrick, but I can't really sympathise with him much now that I know the truth about Ezra Miller. However, you want to know what ticked me off the most? The way they shamelessly pushed Sam when she tried to defend her friend. That's Emma Watson, for crying out loud, the top crush of every teenage boy of that era. Luckily, Charlie managed to activate his super fight mode and took down everyone with ease. We don't get to see the attack at all, but the aftermath is more than enough to imply what went down. It was a moment of total shock as everyone was looking at Charlie as if they just saw a monster. Of course, that doesn't stop him from standing up for his friends, and the line where he threatens to blind everyone who lays a hand on his buddies was super badass.
Touch my friends again and I'll blind you.
You like to bully kids? Ass, pen, 12 years old and you're already evil as f***.
Hey! Oh, you get toughed up!
12 years old, man. You.
I always maintain that Season 1 of True Detective was peak television, but that doesn't mean Season 2 was a failure. I found it pretty decent, and one thing that stood out for sure was Colin Farrell's performance as Detective Raymond Velcro. He may have been a corrupt cop who engaged in shady activities, but he did care for his son, which is why he made sure to take revenge when his kid got bullied. Not only did he threaten a witness to get the culprit's name, bro ended up thrashing the bully's dad in front of him to show who the alpha was. Once again, it's pretty dicey for a grown man to confront a kid, but at least Ray doesn't attack the bully physically, yet his dad for that. Like, even tells the kid that his dad is taking a beating for him. I may not agree with his methods, but the detective did manage to stand up for his boy and show Aspen what it's like to mess with his family. The threat that he makes over here is no less or probably even worse than the one Elric made in the Silicon Valley entry, but once again, I'm going to look at the bright side and say that the kid ain't ever going to pick on anyone else in his entire life.
Dad, take a look. I was doing this for you. How about that got you off, kid? I'll come back and f*** your father with your mom's headless on this goddamn lawn.
Deep in the recesses of my skull.
From the looks of it, this is a pretty standard moment where the bullied victim loses his mind and attacks his bully without any remorse. However, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Sure, Ralphie didn't like the snowball being thrown in his face, which is one of the reasons why he attacked Farkas without holding back. However, there's also the fact that he just got punished with soap for letting an F-bomb slip his mouth, so the kid is pretty low already. On top of that, he's already got all kinds of violent thoughts in his head, so Farkas was playing with fire and he had to deal with the consequences of his behaviour. Just look at him go! He didn't even stop after seeing blood coming out of Farkas' face. I don't know what kind of gibberish Ralphie was blurting out over here, but he sure put on a show that entertained quite a few bystanders. I also love how his mom didn't even bother to ask the bully if he was alright when she took Ralphie away from the scene.
What's up?
Cobra Kai is here again with a scene from Juvie where Robby does the boogie. Okay, that was a bad one, but I couldn't help myself, alright? Anyway, the way Sean and his boys did Robby wrong earlier in episode 3 was totally out of line.
What's up?
So I have no issues at all with the way the victim turns the table later on. The way Robby kicks Sean square in the face has got to be one of the best moments of the entire show. Also, it's 3 versus 1 here, but the other 2 get knocked down pretty easily, so I'm going to focus on the 2 main characters. Robby's moves were pretty fluid, and this was a proper fight scene rather than just a case of the bully taking the bully down with ease. Sean was putting up a fight too with his own skills, but I'm sure that Robby would have taken him out if the adults didn't come in to stop the battle. Also, the important thing here is that he gained the respect of the ones who picked on him, so I could say that Robby did turn out to be the main winner.
Here, let me help you.
You're a freak.
No? What if you had an extra one?
How old are you, 5? Did you just slap me? I did. Weird, right?
2017's Power Rangers may be more known for the Krispy Kreme promos, but we did get some decent scenes out of it, with one of them being perfectly suited to this list. Detention bullies are usually supposed to be the worst, but in this case, the dude is nothing more than just a side character. It's Jason Scott's first day in detention, and the first thing he sees is the bully picking on Billy. I really wanted to make this rhyme, but it would have been in bad taste. Anyway, Jason stops the act midway and gives the bully a smack in the face to teach him a lesson. I like how he's basically telling him that he's not even worth a proper punch, which is why he's getting slapped. Honestly, I feel like Dacre Montgomery still hasn't shaken off Billy Hargrove from Stranger Things at the time of shooting this scene. You can clearly sense the similarities. I've got to admit as well, it was really weird seeing him play a nice guy even though he still had savage vibes of his most well-known character. Plus, the look on the bully's face right after was priceless, especially when Jason kept on making fun of him while smiling as if it was nothing.
Don't sit near me or him, and we'll be okay.
Just because a kid isn't the type to talk much doesn't mean he can be bullied easily. Travis found that out the hard way when he thought he could pick a fight on Jack in school. He even laughed at the idea of Jack assuming a fight pose, but the bully was made to eat his words when he got humiliated in the fight that followed. Jack doesn't even have to do much here other than simply shift the momentum of his opponent. It made Travis look like a total fool, and you can see he was getting annoyed each time Jack avoided his attacks. Maybe he should have focused on getting a nice haircut first. No wonder he can see what was happening to him. The background score may have felt a bit misleading because of how energetic it was, but don't forget that it takes a lot of focus and energy to pull off what our hero does here. The only time Jack actually whacks him is when he ends the fight by smacking Travis against the railing. It was a hilarious way to claim victory, but to be fair, he did give his bully the option to walk away.
It doesn't have to be this way.
You're right, it doesn't.
You could run.
Some of the best friendships are made on the backbone of bullying. No, seriously, just look at how Kyle and Jason became buddies in 2008's The Fly Boys. The bully in question, once again, a blonde boy with a weird hairdo. It looks like it might be a specific category of bullies after all. Anyway, this becomes a 3 versus 1 fight as Kyle has to face off against 3 kids, and he does so with ease. Now, this ain't Karate Kid, so it's fair to say that Kyle has the power of brute strength to help him out here. You can see how much of an impact Kyle has on this fight, because the blonde kid was amazed at how he was taking on the other kids as well. I also like how Jason lends an assist when he warns him of the blonde bully trying to sneak attack him. These dudes already got their teamwork sorted out in their first bout. Another thing that I want to point out is the audience. Why the heck are they not helping Jason out? Poor kid was getting savagely picked on, but the best you could do is just watch? Thank God for Kyle channeling his inner Mike Tyson, eh?
Come on, get him, Rick.
Kyle, look out!
You want it? No? You want it?
People People aren't too pleased with Rob Zombie's rendition of the Halloween franchise, but I personally liked a few aspects, such as exploring Michael Myers as a kid. Well, for starters, his mom definitely wasn't a good role model, because who the heck ignores a dead cat found in her son's bag? Anyway, my focus here is on the bully Wesley Rhodes, who also happens to be Junie Cortez from the Spy Kids franchise. Man, I wonder what the studio did to him that made the kid a bully in the first place. Anyway, this is the first ever sign of Michael Myers exhibiting his murderous tendencies as he tracks Wesley and follows him into the forest so that he can brutally end him without anyone in sight. I'm most definitely not in favour of taking the life of a bully, but you can't argue that this is a top-tier scene in terms of capturing the essence of horror's favourite serial killer. Personally, I would have liked it better if he didn't scream while he was ending the bully, because it takes away from the psychotic persona that the character is known for. But yeah, for him not to stop despite Wesley begging for his life totally sent shivers down my spine.
Can you see the sign, dummy? No food or drinks on the way. Angela!
It's not just boys who bully others, you know, girls can be pretty mean too, and one of the most accurate examples of this is that pathetic Angela from Stranger Things. The way she would keep picking on Elle for no good reason just went on to show how petty she is as a character, and even when Elle's just trying to have a good time with her boyfriend, the only thing on Angela's mind is ruining her day. This is exactly why I don't think Elle did anything wrong by whacking her face with that roller skate. Sure, it was a bit extreme and made her bleed, but if you remember, Elle did try to talk it out with Angela right before. She even explained how mean she was being to her, and it only made her act more like a bully. I don't care if Angela started crying like that, she's not the victim here, is she? Like, if you annoy your pet cat again and again, she's gonna scratch you, right? That's the same logic over here, with the only difference being the scratch is a permanent scar on your forehead. See, characters named Angela are always a pain to deal with. Just ask Andy from The Office.
I hate being titillated.
What? You gonna hurt us with your mean stuff?
So when's the apocalypse coming?
Come on, man, just give me my book.
Give me my book! No! Hey! Hey!
It's top 10 time, so I figured I'll start with an entry that completely dismisses the bully question. The Dark Tower may be all about Idris Elba, but don't forget Jake Chambers was the one getting visions of the Man in Black. Exactly why he needed to note it all down in his notebook, but you'll always find some jerk in your school who's going to try to mess with you. Jake was clearly not in the mood to play any games, but the bully still wouldn't hand him back the book, so he left with no other choice but to give him a massive thrashing. It was such a quick moment that the bully turned into a victim in less than 3 business seconds. It was only after the teacher came in that Jake stopped with his attack, otherwise we could have got another Michael Myers level entry over here. See, this is why you shouldn't mess with kids who've been chosen to save the world.
I need my book. Hey.
Okay, so the person thrashing the bully here is actually the villain of the movie, but I don't care because just like the Megan entry, he does know how to teach a lesson. This was such a merciless thrashing because Noah doesn't stop at all till the teacher drags him away from the bully. Honestly, while the bully did say hurtful stuff to Kevin, I don't think it warranted a fractured skull. Well, I guess that's what you get when you insult Jennifer Lopez's son. No wonder Noah was so protective about him. I found it hilarious when the dude's friends just took his bag and ran away after seeing what Noah was doing to him. They clearly didn't want to be put in the same position. Also, we shouldn't really feel so bad for the bully here. After all, he managed to overcome this situation and turned himself into one of the biggest pop stars of the world, Ed Sheeran.
Hey, Peterson! The movie was on Turner Classics last night.
Rule number 1, if you're with 6 dudes and a bald man comes at you all chilled out, like he can beat all 7 of you with ease, then he's skilled enough or insane. Neither of these options are good for you. Jason Statham is one of the core members of the Expendables franchise, so beating down his ex's abuser was just a piece of cake to him. The best part of the scene though was when the bully asked Lee what he wanted and he said, "Your life."
Your life.
I was thinking of taking it. I have no issues with the way he handled those men because A, he totally owned all of them with ease, and B, he ended up sparing their lives. That final statement he made by deflating a basketball was an S-tier threat, and I'm sure that dude must have reconsidered his entire life right before Lee stabbed the ball. He was right when he told his ex that she should have waited for him. Bro was worth more than the women L'Oreal keeps praising.
I
know what I do for a living.
You did that on purpose, Flash!
No, but I should have.
Here's another scene involving a basketball. We spoke about the nice side of Flash earlier, so now it's time to look into whether Peter Parker humbles him when he tries to mess with a girl in her painting. The basketball scene was a total violation for Flash because the way Spider-Man taunts him and totally dominates the session is nothing short of brutal. Bro even closed his eyes and let Flash take the ball from him, but his sticky fingers only made it worse for the bully. Look, this scene is pretty cool and all, but to be honest, is it really Flash's fault? Like, why is that girl painting in the middle of a basketball court? What did she think was gonna happen? Also, Peter's really doing an amazing job of hiding his superpowers. The other kids must have been like, hey look, here's a kid who was a weak nerd but now has super strength, god-level reflexes and sticky fingers. He surely can't be Spider-Man, right? Man, at this point, I don't even know if I should call the Flash Thompson of this universe an actual bully.
I would have taped you to a lunch lady.
Underneath all of that male bravado, there's an insecure little girl just banging on the closet door trying to get out.
It's really weird seeing Zac Efron with his new face right now, but that's because of a jaw injury, so there's nothing that can be done about it. Anyway, he still has his original look in 17 again, so it wasn't weird for me to mention it here. It's yet another entry featuring a basketball, which makes it 3 in a row on this list now. The best part about this particular sequence is that Mike doesn't really use any kind of physical violence to deal with Stan, just verbal violence. Honestly, with the stuff he said in front of so many people, I think it's fair to say that Stan would have preferred a slap to the face instead. Bro violated his son's bully in all of 1 business minute, and even showed off some basketball moves while he was at it. One thing I really don't get is the fact that Maggie not only dated Stan, but was also fine with him bullying her own brother Alex. That's just messed up.
Stan's brain is underdeveloped. The third reason, Stan has a
In no universe can Timothée Chalamet be considered a bully, but here in Men, Women and Children he's trying to act like one. Well, that sure didn't work out for him the way he wanted, because the way he got his butt handed to him was savage. It's also kind of ironic that the guy beating him up is called Tim in the movie. Huge props to Ansel Elgort for pulling this off with his physicality. Bro lifted up his target as if he was in Dirty Dancing or something. Of course, it makes sense for him to engage in such violence because the bully did whack his girlfriend with an orange. He was completely calm when the insults were coming his way, but his persona changed the moment his girl became a victim. Of course, he also went on to become a getaway driver for an organised group of criminals later on, but that's a whole other story.
Hey, what kind of girl will ever kiss this shit?
Remember when I spoke about Hall getting his revenge on his bullies later on? Well, Miguel didn't have to wait that long to stand up against Kyler, Brooks and the other bullies of his school. Now, he didn't really do anything when he was the target, but the moment the attention shifts to a girl, Bro decided to unleash the power of Cobra Kai. Sam must have been thrilled to see a boy fighting so many bullies on her behalf, so you could say that Miguel was unintentionally using the power of martial arts Riz as well. The fight choreography was pretty solid, and I loved watching each of those nasty bullies getting what they deserved. The applause that Miguel got after his attack felt very satisfying, so it eventually became a wholesome moment, barring some injuries and total humiliation for Kyler.
It's Cobra Kai.
It's hard to come across a David Cronenberg film that isn't weird or dominated by body horror, but if they're as good as A History of Violence, then I don't mind. The main star is Tom Storr, but it's his son Jack who takes the spotlight here. It's another typical case of a victim getting triggered when a bully insults the girl with him, and yes, the culprit is once again a blonde dude. Anyway, the thrashing given to him right after is pretty satisfying to watch, and in the best possible way. It's kind of like getting a really good haircut or having a great conversation with a cute girl, or waking up and remembering it's Saturday and that you don't have to go to work. Yeah, now that's how I should be making comparisons. Also, I totally loved how he asked his bully if he's laughing now. That was pretty badass.
Get over there! Oh, son of a... Come here. Are you laughing? Are you laughing? Now you...
Okay, Andrew Garfield's Flash Thompson may have been a softie, but the version from the OG trilogy totally had it coming. Peter Parker's first encounter with this bully after gaining his Spidey powers was a treat to the eyes, and I loved how he started off with realizing he actually had all these powers in the first place. What followed was a pretty humiliating defeat for Flash, but I still can't get over the fact that everyone looked at our hero as if he was a freak. This boy was going to get punched in the face for crying out loud. You should be more like Harry. He was so proud of his friend for being able to defend himself. Even Mary Jane was looking at Spider-Man as if he'd become some sort of monster, but then again, I really hate that version of the character because she was essentially the superhero version of a gold digger. Okay, this is easily the most intense retort against bullies in cinematic history. 1976's Carrie was an amazing film that conveyed a lot of themes, but nothing is as memorable as the final prom scene where Carrie loses her mind and goes berserk with her powers. It's warranted because just think of what the titular character had to go through. She's been socially harassed at school by everyone, her mom tries to control her life, and her first ever date is killed in front of her own eyes as part of a prank. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Tommy lost his life to an empty bucket, but hey, it drove the plot forward and gave us one of the most iconic horror movie scenes of all time. Man, Carrie's stare is what made this scene so chilling and convincing. It really was an amazing performance from Sissy Spacek. Hope you liked this video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video I know you're going to enjoy.